Okay, before heading into the tutorial on how to use the Cubase software, here's a view of your Lambda and the settings. Right here is where your guitar jack plugs into your instrument, your headphones so you can listen to playback, and check the dials out. Your monitor mix is set at about halfway, 50%, your output about halfway, and the other lines and mics are all set, about between 12 and 2 o'clock is about the right setting. On the back now, if you look at the back of the Lambda, you'll see where the mic is plugged in, the XLR jack is plugged in right here at line 2. That's the best place to plug in your mic. Okay, this little spot, this is if you're going to input sound and music from your iPad. You need two male-ended 1/8-inch stereo cord, short one, and then you need this adapter which will plug in here. We'll change this from an 1/8 to a 1/4-inch jack, which will then plug into where you normally plug in your instrument. Okay, we've just gone over how to hook up your lexicon, the dial settings, where your instrument gets plugged in, where your microphone gets plugged in, and we've taken a look at the connection type jacks you need to use if you want to run your iPad into your lexicon to record as well. But before we start using Cubase, you need to create a couple of folders. I would recommend creating them on your desktop so they're easier to see. So I've got a folder here that says 2014 recordings. So create a folder that says Keira's recordings, however you want to title it, but a master folder. And then once you've created that folder, go inside of the folder, and there's a very important folder you need to create called Mixdowns. So create a second folder called Mixdowns. That's the folder that when you finish your Cubase recording and you've got it sounding as good as you can, and you're ready to produce it, and you do what's called the mixdown, it will convert it to a WAV file, and that WAV file will eventually be played on your iTunes, or you can eventually burn that onto a CD to produce your own CD. But all of those WAV files need to be stored in this separate folder called Mixdown. So create that second folder, and once you've done that, we're ready to go on and open Cubase. So now I'm opening Cubase, and once Cubase opens, there should be a little central screen that you see here, and you're going to have some selections here. I've got a lot of selections in the works here, so I can open a pre-existing selection that I've been working on, or you're going to use yours. Since you don't have any, you're going to start at your first project. So you're going to click New Project, and then you're going to choose the default setting. Click OK. And then you're going to make a new folder, and a new folder box will appear, and you're just going to put a title on it, and I'm going to entitle this Greg 1. So I've named it. I click OK, and once I've created my folder where all my samples are going to go, this the Cubase Studio will appear. Now before you can start recording, the first thing you're going to need to do is to create some tracks. And to do that, you go to the Project button and select Add Track, and you're going to be selecting an audio track. Make sure it comes up as a mono configuration. If not, you can always go in and change that. Okay, but mono is what you want. Click OK. And I'm assuming your first recordings you're going to want to sing and play at the same time. So we're going to create a second track, and to create a second track, do the same process: Project, Add Track, Audio, and make sure that's also mono. Now you've got two tracks up here, and when you're getting ready to record both tracks at the same time, this red button here needs to be lit up, the record button, and you'll need to do that for both tracks. Before we go on though, you're going to need to make sure that since you have a left and a right mono input, you need to make sure that the tracks are named that way. So we're going to check track 1, and if that little arrow pops up, just go to the right of it so you can click in the blue box, and it will show your track 1, track 1 is left stereo in, and the left input is going to be for your instrument, your guitar. So the track up here is going to be recording your instrument. Now the other track is for your voice, and the voice needs to be on the right in. So since that also says left stereo in, you have to change it. So just click on that little black box, and you'll get a stereo in button, and change the voice track to right. So now you've got two tracks. One is left in and one is right in. You can check it again if you want to. Left in, you can see it right there, and your vocal track is right in. So now you're pretty much ready to record, and I'm going to pause here just for a second so I can get my guitar up and lay down a little bit of vocal and guitar track so you can see how it looks when it starts. Be right back with you. Okay, we're back, and you can see now that I've laid down both a guitar track and a vocal track down here, and you can tell that you're recording because when you hit the record button right here, you'll hear a click, 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 and then these little blue guys will start to appear. And when you sing or play your guitar, you should see these little sound waves appear. If you don't, you're not recording. But as you can see, I've recorded a basic pattern here. Now, to move some of these things around, I want to show you. Now, if you take a look here, I'm at the end of what I recorded. So to move this back to the beginning, to play it back, I would just hit this button here, and that moves it back. Now you've got other buttons down here. This will move it all the way, or these where it's got two stripes on it, you can kind of inch it along bit by bit. As I click that, it's just moving part at a time. See, so I can move it a little bit, or I can move it all the way back to the beginning to start, and I can play it back so I can hear what it sounds like. So there's a couple of things that you're going to want to learn to do to be able to adjust the sound quality, and sometimes your voice might sound stronger than the instrument or vice versa. So to start basically doing a little bit of mixing on your tracks, let's just say that your guitar track was a little bit too soft, and so you're going to click onto the track itself, and you can see how it's lit up with the black line, and that one isn't. So I've got my guitar track lit up. I'm going to go to my audio selection now, audio, and I'm going to go to the process button, and once I go to the process button, I'm going to come down to gain. I'm going to click gain. Now gain is where you can increase or decrease the overall volume. So if I wanted to increase this, and when I do it, I usually do it in about 3-step increments. So I want to increase the volume of that guitar track, and so I'm going to pump it up by a factor of 3 here, hit the process button. When I hit the process button, watch to see how the amplitude of these waves increases. There you go. See how it's thicker and richer? So the sound's going to be more intense. You can play it back, see how it sounds. If it sounds the right mix with both tracks, that's fine. If it were too loud, let's just say the vocal track was too loud and you wanted to tone it down, go to the audio button again, process, go to gain, and I'm going to tone it down. And I'm going to bring it down to -3 now. Take it down 3, and you're going to watch the amplitude of this shrink. There you go. And then you can play it back and you'll see that it sounds softer. So being able to use the gain is pretty important. The next thing that you're going to want to be able to do with your tracks is use some reverb. Okay, and there's a lot of ways to do this. So this is the vocal track here, and let's say I almost always use reverb on mine because my voice isn't that great. But to do that, you're going to select track 2, and audio 2 is showing right there. Okay, and you're going to come down and you're going to hit the insert button. It says inserts. And now you're going to have all these little black boxes. So come down to the first available black box and click in there, and you're going to get this little pull down box. And you can play around with these to see how they sound to you, but I go right to the reverb button. Reverb, I click that, and now this is some general reverb. You can play your track and see if it sounds good to you. If not, you can come over to this little button over here which is the preset management. So it's a little button right here where it says RoomWorks. Click it, and you're going to hit Load Preset. The presets are all these different sound effects that you can put into your voice or your instrument. One of my favorites is the background choir for my voice, but you can play with these really cool different sound effects and see which one you like best for your voice to sound. And click on that and play it. And I've got background choir here, but if I want to make it like my voice was singing in arena, I would click in arena, cathedral, church. So I've played around with all these and try to find ones that complement my voice the best. But you would select that, and once you've selected it, you can play it back on your track. Same thing for your guitar. You can go to the guitar track now. See, now it's the guitar track is lit up, and I'm going to go to I'm sorry, the guitar track. I'm sorry, right here. I'm going to go to I guess I've got them both selected here on 2 and 1. But if I wanted to change this, I would go to track 2. I've got track 2 already done, so I'm going to go to track 1. Okay, now I'm on audio 1, and that's the guitar track. I just selected audio 1. You see how I selected here. Now I'm going to go to my inserts button again. Come down to the first available black one by the arrow. Click it. Going to go down to reverb, and I'm going to select a good sound effect for my guitar. Load the preset, and maybe I'm going to use dark and long. See how that sounds for my guitar, and then I'm going to keep playing them back. So those are the two really important buttons to be able to use to change the effect of your voice and how you want it to sound. Okay, now once you've got the recording the way that you want it, you have to then save the project so that if you want to come back and work on this, redo it, add tracks, whatever you want to do, you can keep modifying it. So you have to save your project. So you come over, before you do anything else, come over to the File button and File, and you're going to say Save as the first time. You're going to name your project, and this project I'm going to name GG, but I usually name it by the name of the song, but I'm just going to name this GG, and that is going to be saved in the folder that I set up, which said GG. That's all the takes and all the little bits that I've recorded are all going to be saved in that one folder. So that's the folder that got, so you save the project first, okay, and then after you've saved the project, if you think you're really ready to record it, you can do what's called the mix down. And the mix down, to be able to do that, you have to select the field. Now I did this before, so I'll unselect it here. But you're going to need to make sure that this blue bar is already filled out as much as you want to record. So here's my tracks. I go to this little corner up here with the little hand, and I click, left click, and I pull that little blue bar over, and that's selecting this field of track that I want to record. And there we go, it's almost to the end. So it's going to record all the way to the end of the music there. And I've got it selected. Once you've done that, you're going to go to the File button again, and you're going to hit the Export button, and you're going to go to Audio Mixdown. Now, you need to give your file a name. I usually put in the title of the song, and if I'm going to be doing a number of takes, I usually put the title of the song with the date after it so I know what version it is that I'm working on. So if I were going to put this in, it's GG, and I'm going to put 12-31. Okay, so I know the date that I worked on this. The second thing that you have to set up the first time you record is the path. So in other words, you've got to tell Cubase where to drop this file, this sound file you're going to mix down. So that's why you set up the mix down folder on your desktop. So you're basically going to use this button over here, the path, and you're going to go use the choose button, and that will bring up all these things that you can normally navigate on your computer. So I know that I've made the folder on my desktop, so I click desktop, and I'm going to scroll down to find my recordings folder that I set up, and you would find whatever folder you set up. And here is my 2014 recordings. I open that folder up, and then I find the Mixdown folder, and I click that, and then I'm going to basically hit open. Okay, and once you've done that, it will automatically, every time you export, it will drop all of your WAV files into your Mixdown folder. It's important to keep that separate. So I'm just going to cancel that out. So you've done that, you set up the path, just like I showed you. This is going to be in a WAV file format. Leave the insert button checked here. Make sure that your sample rate is 44.1 Hertz. Your bit depth is 24. And no other buttons or things are clicked. And then you're going to hit the export button. And now the file has been exported, and it put it into my Mixdown folder. So I'm going to close this up, and I'm just going to go to my desktop, and I am going to open up my Mixdown folder, and I'm going to find GG, and there it is. There's my GG WAV file, and when I click that, what my computer will do, and yours will undoubtedly do it too, it will open up in your iTunes. So now it's playing right now for me. You can hear it. I'm going to stop it though. So you're going to be able to see this, and to find your file, you're going to go to the recently played button, and mine's not showing up there right now. Recently added button there, and there it is. There's my GG file. From there you could create a playlist on your iTunes to put that in, and after you've assembled all the songs that you want on your playlist, you could then burn your own CD off of that. But that's where the file will eventually go, and you can play it back to see how it sounds on your iTunes. So I'm going to close that up now, and I'm going to close this up, and I think that's pretty much it for now. Some of the finer points we can talk about when you've had enough chance to get the basics down. So hope this helps, Keira. Love you.